In a world where two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There's a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt and I'm here with my buddy Austin Spitz, and we got a special guest today. And I said I was going to do this before. We got Sean motherfucking McGregor. What's going on, Sean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't top that intro. That's
See,
epic.
I did it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah, man. So pumped to be here. Thank you all so much for having me. We were talking about before, but you guys kind of hit my concentric circle of football love. We got a Bronco fan and Matt, and then Austin, the Red Raider, like myself. So you're my kind of people. It's going to be a good fall, hopefully.
We got a football circle.
Yeah, baby.
So you're based out of Austin, Texas, right? And a lot of your STR business is kind of in the Hill Country area, right?
I'm actually in 5 different states, and
Okay, gotcha.
everything is 100% remote. And I'll get into how that all happened. But for me, like, it all started because my better half, Lindsay, when we were first dating, like one of the first times kind of things were getting serious, and went back to her place. She's like, "Oh, hey, I have some guests at the house." I'm like, "Oh, you got like friends coming over or what?" She's like, No, Airbnb guests. So like the whole reason I got introduced to Airbnb was she was renting out her second bedroom at her Austin place that had like a nice skyline view and everything, paying for the whole thing. And then the ultimate hack was whenever she would travel, she'd rent out both rooms or the full place itself. And that would pay for her place and then also for her travels wherever she went. And like that has been kind of a foundational thing for our life going forward, just that kind of hack. But yeah, so that was my origin into it.
That's awesome. So I think it's funny that you're a Broncos fan and you're a Red Raider with Austin, and you live in the middle of both of us. So you live in like Austin, right? And Austin lives by like New Braunfels, and I live near Houston. So it's kind of funny. We are actually a circle of Texas at this point. So that is awesome. So I do want to get into your no code STR thing, but I still want to let everybody know, kind of talk about your experience with your short-term rentals, how many you have, how many you co-host, how many you own, what markets you're in, that kind of stuff, just so that people will believe you when you tell them that you're the man with no coding.
Yeah, for sure, man. So like the next thing that Lindsay did that like kind of leveled it up is she actually started essentially a hostel in Austin that hosted 7 guests. I started taking that over. That went to 3 locations, 35 guests at a time. We had a child at some point. I was the one messaging everybody the whole time, 35 people by myself. We were going to go on a trip to Spain and Portugal with her parents. And, I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. Okay, all right, let's make it happen. And that's when I found Hospitable, which is my first kind of like toe tap into automation. And that made it to where like, okay, this has happened automatically. We're 6 hours time difference away. The last day of that trip, we actually told our parents goodbye. Like, we're going to keep traveling. And that was like the start of my kind of like mindset of like, I don't need to be there to have this business run. So when COVID hit and that business shut down, I started co-hosting for people. And it started with a family member in Florida, another family member in North Carolina. And obviously COVID lockdown, not going to ever see those places personally with my own eyes. And because of that, I had to build really, really tight systems and learn how to deliver a great experience without ever actually seeing the place. And as I started like kind of fine tuning that and honing it, I took a course called Legends X, and they have like a host guarantee part of it where you have to come up with a host guarantee. And mine was guarantee a 5-star or I don't take a commission. And that was my way of saying like, hey man, I'm not even going to be necessarily in the same country or state, and I'll never be in your market, but I know this business so well. I know these systems so well. I know how to show guests a great time that I'm not going to take a commission if they don't leave a 5-star. And that's something that keeps myself accountable, my team accountable, and just makes it to where, we have to deliver that incredible experience. We have to have, place looking good. Cleaners have to do their job. They have to be notified. They have to show up. Maintenance has to be done. And it just really just sets a high bar to where, we have to do that. And so we have 2,900 plus reviews, a 4.97 overall rating, and since 2018, 4.97 overall rating. So it's been going well. And again, like we travel quite a bit. Like my 6-year-old has actually been to 40 countries, and we spend 4 months of the year internationally. And so it's all done through systems. So that's my pitch as far as like how I know my stuff.
So you're living the dream.
Trying, it's always a struggle, like, strikes and gutters per usual in life, but it's been good. It's been interesting.
Did I hear you correctly? You said you managed 35 listings before you were introduced to some kind of automations like Hospitable. Is that what you said?
So it was like hostel style. So it was shared rooms, but it was 35.
Okay, gotcha.
It was 35 listings, and it was 35 individuals, and like messaging 35 different people, the check-in message, and, assigning their bed and scrambling the cleaners and all that stuff. So, that's why that my now 6-year-old is why I have like pretty gray hair kicking in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, scramble the jets. That's crazy. So how many listings do you have now?
So there's 14 homes currently. And yeah, North Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, multiple in Texas, one in Michigan. So again, geographically kind of all over the place. Most of it is owners that I started with in one market and then have expanded to, with them in other markets. And, I got to a point where I do love this business so much, but I became so interested in all the systems and automations and things like that I've kind of paused growing the co-hosting temporarily. I'm about to start kicking it back up again now, because like that was the thing that interested me the most. Like that's what I was nerding out on. Like while cooking, I'd be watching YouTube videos on Airtable and these different softwares, because I was like, holy shit, this solves so many problems like in life, in business, and just basically any situation you find annoying, you can now automate if you know how to use these tools. And that's why like that's just been my main passion, my main focus is just starting to learn and just become like an expert in that world.
That's awesome. So no code STR. I think I'm not as familiar with it as I think Matt has a little bit of background understanding. So let's do this. Let's explain it to me as if I'm in, like an elementary school kid. Simplify it first, and then let me know kind of what it is that you do, and you could share with our audience so we can all get a better understanding of how you help and kind of what problem you specifically solve.
For sure, man. I mean, for me, like, so Matt has taken the free 5-day course on the website, nocodestr.com. And in that, I go through like the different softwares I use, and I talk about a lot of the use cases. But, one of the biggest like hurdles I reached was, during COVID, I would text message all my guests. And the reason I did that, one is like, I don't want it to feel like everything is automated. I want it to feel like a personal connection. And you get them off platform. And then at the end of the stay, because I am like legitimately, I need a 5-star or I don't get paid. What I do is, I'm like in contact the whole time through text message. But at the end, I actually screenshot their review, text them the review because they're not on platform, and let them know I'm giving them a 5-star, which either softens the blow if there have been any struggles, or gets them to write like a 4 or 5 sentence marketable 5-star on my listing. And so I did that by myself, and it was easy during COVID when I had nowhere to go and nothing to do. But as I started bringing on virtual assistants, and now I have 3 teammates based in the Philippines, all awesome people. I got to meet them last year. But, it's a whole new struggle. Like, I know how to do everything. Everything's in my head. I can do it. But then like you bring on someone else. Okay, well, I need to document this. I need to figure out how they can do it just as well as me. Oh, there's some slight language barrier. They're not quite nailing the messages exactly how I want. And that's when I got into like the Airtable stuff, where I'm like, Airtable, Zapier, OpenPhone, instead of using Hospitable for everything, there's a software called OpenPhone where everybody can be on the same text thread, all 4 of my teammates. We're actually texting the guests, but with Zapier and Airtable, we're actually automating the entire process. the check-in message, the checkup message the day after they check in, the checkout instructions, all of it's texted to the guest like hospitable, but it's a text message. So it's something the guests are familiar with. Like they are, on their phone instead of like in an app they might not have downloaded, might be missing messages. But it's all built in a way now where my teammates, they just need to like follow along the simple things that I've built. And if anything gets missed, they get a notification. But otherwise, like all the messages are automated. They just have to be there to reply within 5 minutes. But all the messages are like the exact word perfect way I would want to say them. And it all happens automated, and it all happens in their phone versus on Hospitable or Airbnb where, it's more of like I'm dealing with Airbnb. But if you're texting them, I'm dealing with Sean, Lindsay, and Baby J. And that in itself helps soften any like issues that arise. And then again, it enables just so much more communication during the stay. And then after the stay, you obviously can talk to them about direct booking. You can talk to them about leaving a Google review. And again, most of it is just fully automated without me having to do anything, but I just set up the pattern. And instead of it being through Hospitable or Airbnb or VRBO, it's all text message based, which just makes it so much more personal. So automate, but still personally connect is like one of the core values that, that kind of shows.
Okay, gotcha. So one of the problems you solve is like it's in one centralized text message with everybody there. So it's better communication for the guests because they're used to seeing text messages, better communication for your team because they're all in that thread. So kind of the way I look at it is like a problem you're solving is like if you had a team using your Airbnb account or something, those kind of messages are potentially likely, or notifications are potentially likely to fall through the crack, affecting their experience or affecting your response time. So basically you've created something, the way that I understand it, to make it communication more effective to the guest and also while including your team in the process. No?
For sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And have you ever read the E-Myth? That's like a personal favorite book of mine. And it's, kind of like why small businesses normally fail. And the whole
Yes.
thing is like, instead of hiring a really high priced person that can do a really great job, you focus on building an expert system. And that's why every single Starbucks you go to anywhere in the world feels like Starbucks. You get the right order, you get the right food, everything is kind of on track every single time. And this system that I've built is related to that because let's say, a checkup message isn't sent for whatever reason, then my team gets a notification saying, hey, we need to send a checkup message to John Smith at this property. And if that internal like notification doesn't go to my teammate, then things are on track. If 30 minutes later, that message still isn't sent to that person, then I get a message. And so what that does is if my phone is not going off, I know things are going on track with that stay. And on top of that, in my system, you can keep track of, are they having a great time? Yes, no, maybe. And again, if it's selected no for any reason, I get an alert. But if everything's going well, then I can confidently work less in my business, spend more time with my family, do things that actually, give me energy that I enjoy, that I love, and, just confidently know like things are on track. We're going good. And so with this course, my whole goal is to, there's different softwares, Airtable, OpenPhone, and Zapier that I heavily rely on. But to learn those takes a long time. So I have a free 5-day course showing like the basics of why it's important. And then for anyone that actually does the paid course, I actually give them my Airtable base that has all the information, all the fields, everything set up perfectly, all of my zaps showing all the different cleaner notifications, owner notifications, teammate notifications, and all my open phone snippets, which is all the conversations and messaging. And then there's another software that you can actually build your own digital guidebooks, your own direct booking software. Basically anything that there's like any like STR software on the market, you can build essentially a duplicate and for $0 per listing. So whenever you get 10 more listings, you're not paying $25 a month for this and that and that and that and that. With this, you set it up one time, you set it up how you like it, and it just automatically creates the new guidebook for the new property once you enter in the proper information. And again, it's all just intertwined, in sync, and it is an expert system to, maintain that 5-star guarantee no matter how many properties you take on.
So So here's why I had you on. So I heard your podcast or your episode on Patrick Switek's podcast,
Yeah,
and
awesome, dude.
everything you were explaining reminded me exactly at what point Austin is in right now in his business. And I thought this stuff that he's doing is extremely beneficial, Austin. And I'm not just saying just for you, but for the listeners as well. I mean, I think that Sean is really underselling it. So, like for instance, like when he said it tells Ryan's his team, like, hey, you need to do this or do this. He also says, like, if you don't know how to do this, here's a link on how to do it. Like the
Yeah, here's a Loom
SOPs,
video.
the SOPs automatically linked in that message to the VAs, and then he created like a special like cleaning thing, like kind of like when you use Turno, you have checklists and stuff. They'll do checklists, and if they say like they're out of oil or something, it'll notify his VAs to order it for that house specifically. Like it's I don't know. I would watch the videos, but as I was watching them, I was like, fuck, Austin would fucking love this because it's like perfect for where you are right now. And I think that Sean's just underselling it. But if you haven't seen his course, you need to go check out his course because it's amazing. Once you watch it, then it's like, okay, that makes sense. And it seems like you can automate anything from owners' invoices at the end of the month automated to freaking cleaning checklists, whatever you want to say it. So is there a new automation that you're working on right now in your business with this software?
Yeah, man. So I just started a Facebook group also, like facebook.com/group/no code STR. And what I've loved about that is, I've always been kind of like closed, closed loop, just my business, how I want it to work perfectly. But by posting things in there, I've been like getting all this feedback, like, okay, one good example is like, hey, can you calculate gap nights automatically? And I'm like, shit, I don't know how to do that. But like 2 days later, figured it out. And now automatically I can know if there's a gap night, send the incoming guests opportunity to, come in early for a fee or book the extra day. But also what that allows is if it's a 0-day gap night, in the cleaner reminder, let them know, hey, reminder, this is the same day check-in. And layered on top of that is I now like use Seam, which is like basically what a lot of the PMSs use to connect with door locks, just like Encode, etc. And so now if it's same day check-in, the cleaner, whenever they use their door code the first time, my team gets a message saying, hey, just so you know, Maria has used her door code at the Barton house. So I know, like, okay, great, they're there. It's 11:30. There's plenty of time for the clean. If by 2:00 they're not there, my team gets a notification saying, hey, they haven't started the clean yet. It's the same day turn. Please message them. But if I wanted to, I could just directly message Maria and let her know that. But on top of that, whenever they're done with their clean, they fill out a cleaning form. You mentioned that. They can put any supplies or anything like that they need to be ordered. It'll create a task for that. But as soon as they hit, we're done cleaning, if it's before 3:30 and it's a 4:00 check-in, the guest automatically gets notified without my team doing anything, saying, hey, the house is ready. You can head over anytime. And, it's like, well, that's kind of helpful if you have 5 properties, but if you have 50 properties, it's game changer because you have constant eyes and ears on things. And if notifications are going off, like Matt said, the next step is right in there in the text message that my team gets. But if those aren't going, then things are on track, everything's going well. And you just have those eyes and ears because the guests also, they'll fill out a form whenever they check out. And it will, automatically they'll say like, oh, there was a maintenance issue. Boom, maintenance issue created. I know if they've checked out early, then the guests or the cleaners get an automatic text message saying the guests have left at 9:35. You're welcome to head over early to start cleaning. So you're getting just so much communication between the guests and the cleaners without them ever actually communicating. It's just based on, hey, we've checked out early. Bring automation sends, cleaners notified, they're helped out, and it just.
So you just, sorry, my bad.
Oh, you're good.
I was gonna say
the one thing I was going to say last about the cleaning form is it's one cleaning form that automatically updates after each checkout to where whenever they fill it out, all the information about that stay, like did they leave it dirty, any like maintenance requests, whatever, they hit submit and all that information gets tied back to that guest in Airtable. So we know, okay, they left it dirty automatically without us doing anything. They're off the marketing list going forward. And you can just set all these little fine-tuned rules where like anything you want, how you want your business to run, you can set it up with a software or these softwares and just make it run like clockwork, run perfectly. And, you know, a lot of the big PMSs or things like that, they're never going to get to your small little problems. But those small little problems, if you stack them on top of each other, that's where all of a sudden you're elevating yourself to a whole nother level, especially because you're running your business exactly how your business runs. And that's why it's so great, is because it's all customized to your business. All right, go ahead, Austin.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, it sounds like a lot of the stuff you mentioned. Yeah, exactly like Matt said. I'm still doing a lot of that manually myself, and some of it's not even automated at that point. It's just like, oh yeah, I wake up in the morning. Okay, this house is clean. Like for example, you're like, oh, you have some way to automate that. You know, you can send an early check-in message, and I do that as well because like it is a great way to start the trip off for people. And you know, like some people might already be in town, and you know, if you give them that message like, oh thank goodness, we don't have to just hang out at this bar or whatever the case may be. And I do that every time. But
For sure.
that's from a scalability perspective, it sounds like a lot of the stuff that you've mentioned you know, can automate things. I guess the question that came to mind is like, how does all of this integrate with property management software specifically? Like does it matter as an operator what property management software that you use, or how does it integrate?
It does not matter which one you use. I use Hospitable personally because, you know, it's gotten a little more expensive recently, but it's still one of the cheaper ones. But what's great about this software is as soon as a booking happens, whether it's in Hospitable or Guesty or OwnerRes or whatever, all the information without you doing anything goes into Airtable. And then from there, it goes into Open Phone. So Austin, you book my place, Barton Springs Road, you book. As soon as that happens, it goes into Airtable. As soon as that happens, it goes into Open Phone. You call 30 seconds later. I'm saying, hey, Austin, excited to host you at the Barton Springs house on May 17th. And I know all that information instantly. You answer the phone like, whoa, hey, how'd you know? I just booked. It's like, how do you have my information already? And it's one of those things where any PMS you love, keep it. That's great. I'm going to advocate for a cheaper one because I think you can save a lot of money, especially as you scale. But if you love one, keep it. That's fine. But this software, as soon as the booking starts, Airtable essentially becomes your PMS. And then forevermore, all of your emails, all of your text messaging, all that stuff is driven from Airtable. So it essentially becomes your like CRM, becomes your automation machine. It becomes, you know, your business lives in there. And because it is so flexible and you can set up so many automations based on little tiny things like, you know, like I said, okay, we're done cleaning 30 minutes before and there's a guest same day check-in, then send a message. But if someone's coming in 2 days later, it's not going to send the check-in message, you know? So it's all like very fine-tuned, make it exactly how you want your business to run. And there's, you know, just there's so much power. And like my whole kind of mantra is automate the annoying. And the reason my shirt says I automate the annoying is I want everyone that takes this course to have that mindset of like, what is annoying to you is different than someone else. But if you feel something annoying, if you're like, shit, I hate doing this task, I hate this data entry, I hate, you know, notifying the cleaners every time this happens, I want you to also believe and identify saying like, I automate the annoying. So, oh, that's annoying, that sucks, let's fix it. So where we never have to do that again. And we can focus on our family, friends, more important things in our business that give me energy that I actually enjoy and to help solve the next problem.
So let's say this for your specific like ideal client, what do you think? I guess let's just put it into a numbers perspective. What do you think? How many listings, as just say like a solo operator with one VA? How many? Who's your ideal client? How many listings does this really like hit it home? Because one or two listings, it probably doesn't make sense, right?
Nope.
But like, what's the deal? Like, what kind of person are you looking for to where it's like, hey, we can really come in and help you out at this level?
I mean, basically, it's probably 3 or more listings. And, you know, just start when you hit that grind. And especially when you are considering taking on your first teammate, That's when this becomes so invaluable, because you're not relying on the teammate to know all these things, to watch all the Loom videos, to do it perfectly, because the system's doing it all perfectly. And they're just following the instructions. Like, oh, we need to send a, review follow-up, because the system knows they haven't left a review yet. And they were tagged as yes, having a good time. So we want to get that review so we get paid twice, once by the money and then the other by the review that's marketable. So the system tells my teammate, hey, make sure you reach out to Stephanie. Here's a link to her open phone conversation thread. Here's the link to all of her details about her stay. And they just click that link. They, add this little snippet that's already pre-generated for them, click send, and then, that thing has been done perfectly. And then you do another automation, and then that has been done perfectly. And then that has been done perfectly. And all these, like, it takes a little longer to set up an automation than to just do the thing once. But then forevermore, it happens perfectly, consistently, over and over again. And again, it works for you forever. Like, you spend 30 minutes setting up an automation, you don't have to do that 5 minutes a day task ever again. And, you keep stacking those up, and holy shit, game changer.
I mean, I don't disagree, because you are automating the annoying, like, when my cleaner's done early, it's a pain in the ass for me. I have to text the guest, right? I can't automate that in Hospitable. I can't automate that. I can't automate when my guests leave in Hospitable to tell my cleaner the guest left, unless I go look at the camera. I'm assuming you have some kind of survey, like hit this button when you check out or something. That's my guest, right? So just the button, hit the button, boom, done. So yeah, I totally get it, because you're automating all the stuff that they can't automate. So anything that you have an issue with the automation, you just go in and create automation for it, and then you never worry about it again. So how long have you been doing this system for?
So yeah, the trip where I'd like first learned about Hospitable was 2016, and really quickly, like, that's when I learned about Zapier, which is like kind of the integration machine between any software. It'll get two different softwares talking to each other, but Airtable is actually what leveled it up, because with Zapier, like, finding out how to trigger something, it could be kind of a pain in the ass. You're relying on one software to have that kind of trigger action. Sorry for people that aren't very, that haven't done this stuff. I'll try to simplify it, but like, basically in Airtable, you can set up whatever rule you want. So an example for me is on check-in day, if the door code is set and the door code like number is in there, and my teammate has selected what time they can check in, like 2:00, let's say, then automatically a full 2-paragraph or 4-paragraph check-in message with bullet points and everything is sent to the guest right at 9:00. They don't have to copy and paste something. They don't have to tweak, a message. They just have to enter in those things. At that point, a button pops up to either schedule at 9:00 or send immediately. And because of that, they can't mess up the check-in message. The message won't send out unless all that information's in there. If that information's not in there, we get an alert saying, hey, remember to send the check-in message for John Smith. So it's just all, built in to where it kind of can't fail. And like you guys are talking about, every business is kind of a little different. And if there's a little tweak you'd want to make, Austin or Matt, you can make that tweak, and then it'll work perfectly every time going forward. And that's why that's why I love like the community part, even just the Facebook stuff already. It's like, I was showing them my like cleaning app stuff, and someone reached out. I was like, hey, what about pets? Can we notify my cleaner if there's a pet coming to put out the little pet basket? Or if there has been a pet, remind them in the cleaning notification that, a pet has been there, make sure to do the extra cleaning protocol for the pet. And yeah, within 30 minutes, I was able to get it up and running. And that kind of thing is where it gets really powerful, because, I'm one guy that's done a lot of practice and a lot of like learning around this topic. But when I get more ideas from other people and we figure that out, and then we give that to everybody, like everyone that actually does the paid course signs an abundance contract, where if we figure out the problem for one person, they share it with everyone else, we share it with everyone else, to where that problem is just solved for everyone going forward. And
it's dope.
Go ahead.
Well, it seems like something to me that you kind of build off of. So like, maybe it's something where you have like very generic templates of like all these things every operator would want. And then it's something you kind of just build as you go, maybe.
Hey, everybody, this is Matt from the Co-Host Bros podcast. I recently came back from a mastermind trip, and I spent a lot of time talking about taxes with Ryan Bakke. So, Ryan normally took on clients that had 10 plus listings. Well, he created a brand new program where he's going to take on people between 1 and 10 listings for a lot cheaper at a small business owner price. It's going to include on-demand support, monthly calls, and tax prep. They're going to do little coaching calls monthly, things like that, to help you save as much money as possible on your taxes in the future, including on this year. Ryan has helped thousands of people save money, investors especially. And you really don't want to sleep on this because I think the price will go up at some point. You're going to save far more money than you spend. If you're really interested in changing CPAs and finding something better, go ahead and click the link that I posted for you inside the show notes. Now we're going back to the show.
Maybe. So like if I find something that's unique to my business or the way I operate, I'll just be like, you know, I'm going to set up a specific rule set for when this happens. And then you kind of add it as you go and you build on your platform. So like, you're like, next time I'm tired of doing this. Let me see if I can figure out how to do that. Okay. Check that box. I don't have to do it anymore. So is that kind of like you have a certain set of way that you operate and then you can kind of just build out your own way of doing things that are specific to your business?
Exactly. So I'm going to give everybody everything I've already built, all the automations, all the Airtable bases, all the open phone, yada, yada. And that's starting point. That's like you begin on my level. You bring your ideas. Like, what is this possible? I'll be like, hell yeah, that's possible. It's do it this way. Boom, that's in their business. That's solved forever. Then another person, when they get the course, they're starting out with all that already solved. And then it just keeps on layering on, it keeps on growing. And my personal goal with this is to build the best tech, like best tech stack in the industry. And it's going to be something where like you can't replicate it if you're a big company because it'll be able to fill all the little gaps that are left because they're never going to get to like the little niche cases. But with this, it's so flexible. You can build it in a day and then that problem is solved forever and you're just done with it. And then you go to the next one and it just keeps going.
Yeah, I think if we get deeper, what you're creating really is just like you pay and now you're part of this collective where we work together to figure out whatever problem you have. Because I see you in your group, like you invited me to your group before we even spoke, and I was like, what the hell is this shit? But I was like, I'll join, let's see what it is. Then I heard your episode and I said, oh, okay, this is cool. Then I watched your course and I was like, okay, this is really cool. So I think really it's like a collective. So the more and more everybody can, it's kind of like open source, right?
Yeah, it's
But
like an open source PMS.
yeah, but everybody does it together and everybody just talks about it. And I honestly think that just with the stuff I seen you automate, I mean, you automated pretty much like 99.9% of my life. Like, I mean, you seem so automated. Like, how many hours a week do you actually work? Let's go there. Let's tell everybody how it is possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. I feel like I'm working all the time as far as like, I'm doing things on my computer all the time, but it's very rarely like the guest communication stuff. It's very rarely the maintenance stuff. All of like the short-term rental business, like I feel like is on autopilot. I'll jump in if there's a big situation. Most of my time and energy has been on this course, which again doesn't feel like work because I'm like super pumped about it. I love helping solve these problems, showing people that it's possible. So I don't know, we went to New Zealand, Japan, Australia, a couple other countries that were like full on time flip last year. And to where I'm like not available during all of the critical guest hours and things went perfectly. I think we had one non 5-star like the whole like 3 months. So
money was just coming in. You were just printing money while you're in Japan and New Zealand.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And I mean, the main thing is just like that was my biggest stress test of the system because I'm like 100% asleep. It's like a 12-hour time flip. Like I'm not available. You guys got this, and just wake up and be like, no problems, awesome, okay, and just continue from there. So, yeah, I'm extremely confident in it. I love it so much, and I will start scaling a little bit more. But the open source PMS, like getting this community to help build the best tech stack is my main passion.
So what, let's talk pricing. You don't have to like talk exactly, what your pricing is. I don't want to get into that, but specifically like how do you price? Is it per property or is it to be in this community? Help me understand
Yeah,
how does
so
it work?
it's just a flat fee right now for the first 100 people that sign up. It's half price and it's under $1,000. It's like damn good deal right now. And again, you're starting with my exact tech stack, and the value of it is you can do things better. Obviously, it's better for the guest and the guest experience. Plus, you're going to be able to replace a lot of the softwares you pay per listing for. So, back to your question of like who this would be a fit for. If you have one or two or three properties and that's like where your ceiling is, you don't want to keep growing, you're probably fine just doing hospitable and watching your phone every once in a while. But if you have 4 or 5 and you're trying to get to 15 or 20, that's when this is like really valuable. If you have more properties than that, this is when you're like, oh shit, we're cutting out all these expenses per month by using this. And it's more customizable and it works automatically. And it's like, fine tuned exactly how we want it to be. And, we can do a text message instead of a Airbnb message to where, again, they're not yelling at Airbnb or thinking they're dealing with Airbnb. They're dealing with John, the host, which softens everything up, makes them more, personally connected. And so I think anyone that doesn't want this just to be a hobby, this could be helpful for. The more kind of your ambitions are to like grow, that's when this becomes like, I think, a really good opportunity. Because again, you're going to get everything I've already built to where you're not learning Airtable from scratch. You're not learning Zapier from scratch. You're not learning OpenPhone from scratch. You're starting essentially with my PMS as I've built it, with all the rules, all the knowledge, all of like the system ideas I have. And then from there, we're getting all these badasses together to bring their input, help mix the soup a little bit with their special sauces and their questions and their problems. And we're going to fucking automate the annoying. That's the whole goal. Like whatever's annoying to you is different than to me, but I'm confident you're like anyone in this group is going to become someone that says, I automate the annoying. When they think of something that's like, I don't want to do this anymore, they're going to be able to, with the group and with what I've already built, automate that already and just get that off their
Sure.
plate forever.
Absolutely. I love a lot of it, but one question that just kind of came to mind is, so what about if you're taking it off the platform, which there's a lot of pros obviously to that, but one con that comes to my mind is like, what if you need to do you recommend setting up like guest insurance for this, or is it like if you're reliant on say air cover or VRBO damage, if you take it off the platform, does that messaging make that invalid if you have to make a claim?
So 2 parts. I do use Wavo for like guest kind of coverage stuff, but as far as the text message, I got everything is through text message. So it's just as good as it being in the Airbnb thread. And one kind of tip for general people out there, instead of calling Airbnb support, go on Facebook, message them there. That way you can attach the screenshots whenever you talk about whatever situation's going, whatever's going on. That way, whatever support person comes on, they have screenshots of what's going on. And so, if I ever have to deal with an issue, all I do is I'll just take a loom of the conversation thread on my phone or screenshots of it, send it to them. And I've never had an issue with that. Never once been denied anything. And then, you have the added benefit of all of it being off platform. So if something doesn't go right, Airbnb doesn't have, eyes on that directly, but, the whole goal is to deliver 5-star reviews. So that luckily does not happen very often.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're saying basically so whenever if you ever do submit a claim on Airbnb, you're saying you do it on the desktop instead of calling them?
I just do it on like I go to Facebook to the Airbnb page and I just click message and I message them there. And then they'll,
Wow.
I'll give them my information. They'll reach out to me through Airbnb. But at that point, they have all the screenshots they need. They have a video if they want, like all the relevant data instead of me trying to communicate over the phone and tell them what happened. They're
Ah,
seeing it
gotcha.
all. And instead of me waiting on hold, it's kind of an async thing where like I send it. Whenever they reply to me, then I can reply or my teammates can reply. But it's not a huge time suck of like hanging on hold for 15 or 20 minutes. It's like hey, the guest broke it. They said they broke it. Here's the screenshot. Send. Here's the reservation ID. Blah blah blah. And then they, will say, "Oh, looks great. Thanks. Click the button
Makes
if you're
sense.
done."
Okay,
Instead of waiting for them to
gotcha.
send you the link and all that
Yeah.
stuff, upload your
Oh my God.
stuff.
I mean, yeah, that's something that's been so helpful. Plus, you have that extra like kind of social pressure of like, oh, they're on Facebook and they could review if we don't, if we give bad service. So it's always worked out great, man. Like messaging them through Airbnb on Facebook instead of directly on the support channel in Airbnb.
That's smart.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's smart. I mean, I personally think that 99% of people, if they had 100 properties and they bought your system, they could be pretty much 99% automated from day one. I mean, if they're following the processes that you're following in the videos that you outlined, I like the fact that you text people because I feel like that leaves open communication for marketing purposes as well.
For sure.
Things like that, right? Like, oh, Sandy, if you enjoyed this, maybe you'll enjoy that. But you know, I I feel like that with the stuff you have, you can automate everything. Like I'm still trying to figure out what you can't automate. And I see when people ask about it, you like, oh, I'll figure it out. And then you're like, oh, I asked ChatGPT 10 different times, 10 different ways, and this is what I figured out, right? So it's I think it's amazing. Honestly, I think that if people want to learn more, they need to go to your website and watch your videos. They need to join your Facebook group. Um, how long have you been doing the no code system though? Like, I know you started doing Hospitable in 2016, but when did you start doing this?
So again, like Zapier was like 2016. That was my
Right.
first like, oh shit, I can do all sorts of cool things. But Airtable in 2021 is whenever it like jumped to the next level. Because at that point, anything that needed to be automated, I could set up an Airtable to like this very fine-tuned. It's got to be this property. It's got to be this owner. It's got to be this many days before a stay. Yada yada. Like any little tiny thing, I can use that to trigger an automation to do whatever. So Airtable was like the missing ingredient. Zapier has always been awesome, and it's like been a part of my life for like 7-8 years, and I've absolutely loved it. But Airtable was like the oh shit, I found the peanut butter to the jelly. Here we go. And then Open Phone was the next level because like I can't have everything live in my personal cell phone and allow a teammate to run my business. So Open Phone was the next kind of enhancement of that. But those three together, and then the new one, AeroPage, is like what I can build my digital guidebooks with, my direct booking site, all these different things, with Airtable acting as like the data source for all those custom apps I've built. And that, again, those will be part of the course as well. You're going to start with what I've built in there, and then we'll continue to improve it and enhance it. And, I got, if you've seen in the Facebook group, I have no ego as far as like, this is the best, it's perfect. I'm like, what can be better about this? Because I want to have other people's input so it can be improved. I want the best possible outcome and product. I don't care like if I'm the one that came up with it all. I want to have everyone start at my level, and then let's all go up exponentially together.
Yeah.
So you got something, Matt?
No. I'm just still blown away. That's all. Like, I've been waiting to do this for 2 weeks with Sean. So we've been talking back and forth. And yeah, he does have lots of numbers on Open Phone because I have like 3 phone numbers for him. But go ahead, Austin.
But
Well,
it's cool. Like that first text you got from me was automated, and then I followed up with a real in-person text.
Right.
And like that's so powerful. It's 2-way text messages automated. So
yeah,
that's like the whole part of the big system with all the check-in and all that stuff is like it all happens automated. It's all automatic, but it feels like a personal touch to the guest. So they're like, wow, best communicator ever. Great communication the whole time. And, it's all automated. Just feels like it's the personal touch.
I knew it was automated until you started, and then until you sent another text and started talking about like my personal life. Okay, now it's not automated anymore. But yeah,
exactly.
Sorry, go for it, Austin.
Well, I was going to ask if so you said you still use Hospitable. So what features what features in Hospitable do you still use, and then you have your setup. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, Hospitable's been great because, you know, they obviously communicate with Airbnb and VRBO directly. That's like the missing piece so far, like where I need to have a PMS to like get all that reservation data. Plus, for my team, I think it's like kind of counterproductive if I text the guest as soon as they book and they're not staying for 3 weeks, because then that's just like a whole lot of extra communication. So I use Hospitable to do everything until check-in day. And then at that point, it goes all phone and all text. So that's why I use Hospitable, because they do have good automations. It's where I, you know, first learned how to automate in this business. Like, love them. The guys are great. I'm on their club or their, you know, Zoom calls every couple of weeks. Like, they're all awesome. They've all done such a great job. But I use them to get all the information from Airbnb or VRBO into Airtable. And then that becomes my data at that point. And what's awesome, you know, to like further elaborate on like how that's powerful is whenever I ask someone to like leave a Google review for me, they're not like rewriting a new review. My teammate clicks a button, automatically it'll pull in the review they already left into the text message saying, hey, can you leave this review on Google? Here's the link to our profile. And that happens automatically without them copying and pasting and having to do that. And that just shows like how powerful it is to bring all the info back into your own personal database instead of having it a little bit here, a little bit here, a little bit here. It's all in one place. And any action they take, they hit checked out, it goes back into Airtable. And that's what fires off the automation to the cleaner and, you know, so on and so forth. But it's all like a person's booking, all their data's in there, you know, whether like why they're coming to town. So then in a future thing, like, we had such a great time hosting you at your anniversary, blah, 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 in January. And then like at the end, you can continue on by having their review go out to them, yada, yada. Anyway, I'm rambling.
No, you're good. How often does that Google review convert?
So I've like, with a new system, I haven't like run it that much lately, but I'm getting ready to like put it back out there because I'm a few months behind on that. But it's really great because what I do is, do you remember in the course where after you did the first video, there was a picture of me holding the sign with your name on it?
Yeah, you have that automated. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's automated, but also in the text message, there's a, you know, a photo with the property they stayed at. It says, hi, Matt. You know, thanks for being such a great guest. If you want to come back, we'd love to, you know, offer $100 discount on a future stay. So in that Google review thing, we say, hey, by the way, anytime you want to come back, we'd love to have you $100 off just for considering posting a Google review. And so because of that, most people, if they've had a great time, and again, we track if they've had a great time, they will just kind of copy and paste it.
You put a timeline on that, on the $100 off?
I don't right now, but you know, you can.
I would.
I mean, yeah, just put a year on it or whatever.
No, well, they would just tell them that, you know, if you, or even if you leave a Google review within 14 days or something, give you having $100 off your next stay, to try to like get some urgency to get people to leave you Google reviews if that's what you're trying to do or something like that.
For sure. And I mean, like, this is a very random use case that like nothing to do right now. If they leave a 5-star, you can have a view in Airtable where it's like, if they leave a 5-star, if it's been 17 days since they stayed, and you know, if like my teammate hasn't clicked not a good enough review for it, it'll automatically go out. And so if they leave a 4-star or if they don't leave a review, they go into a different bucket. But if they've left a 5-star, my teammates read it and it looks good and we'd be happy to have it on Google, they just let it go and the automation fires. And you know, we're keeping track of that Google review going forward. Again, I need to update their dashboard on that with the new system I'm building, but we probably have like 4 months of backlog we need to push through. But as soon as that's done, it'll, you know, we'll probably go from like the 40 whatever Google reviews we have now to like over 100. So I need to jump on that. That's one thing that's like, I've been so focused on this course. I'm like, damn it, I need to get into that one little thing. So I'll put it in the Facebook group. I'll show the whole flow sometime in the next week.
What's an example of one thing that can't be automated? Is there anything?
I mean, right now the main problem is like automating pricing, like beyond what Price Labs does. That and like the big missing thing that I'm waiting for is like the Arrow Page software I'm using. They don't have what's called API access right now, like fully. It should be coming in like the next couple weeks or a month. And when that happens, I'll be able to have direct booking calendar that instead of it being like a little widget from Hospitable, it'll be direct from Price Labs pulling in that info. And what that's going to open up that'll be super badass is, let's say you have a 1 year booking window on Airbnb, you'll have a direct booking site that can be open for 3 years. And so you'll be able to get all those bookings without having to put them on the platform. You know, if it's a 6-month available window, you can offer it for a year. But I mean, that's when it really opens up, and another kind of next level thing where like we have 6 months of only our website you can book on with a bunch of emails and direct messaging and stuff like that. Then at 6 months, the platforms can potentially get involved. So
Yeah.
I think that's going to be another level to it. And then if I ever do figure out how to get the information directly from Airbnb and VRBO and message back automatically, like that's when it could just be an official PMS on its own. So, and you know, I think it's just a time thing. And then again, if I get people in the group that are smart enough to crack that case, then like, boom, we all won. And now we're just freelancing it.
Well, you got Eric Corson in your group. I'm sure he'll figure something out for you.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, he's a badass. Like, there's so many badasses in there already. And I mean, again, like I never had a coding background at all. And that's why this stuff like blew my mind and felt so powerful. I feel like a wizard, you know, like, oh my God, all those things that I like wished I could do before. Now I know how to do it. And I don't have to, you know, go to school or take a 3-year online course to learn all this different coding stuff and make sure it works. Like it's all just logic. Like if this happens, I want this to happen, and I want it to happen in this software. And only if this hasn't happened, you know, you can just set all the little conditions you want, and then again, automate the annoying things.
I know that's hard to explain on how that works. It's like a decision tree for those who don't know. You put this puzzle piece there, then this puzzle piece there. If any of you used mini chat before, it's pretty similar to mini chat. That's like how you set up a mini chat. But yeah, it's like puzzle pieces you plug there, and then it makes its way down the decision tree. I think it's freaking dope. I can't say it enough, honestly. I had a question, but I went blank on the question. So there's that. What do you got? Any questions, Austin? Because I drew blank. I lost myself today.
No, I think I'm all good. I kind of got a good understanding. What I'm going to do on my end is just do a little more research. Hopefully, join the Facebook group and then see if I can look at some. I'm a very visual learner, so like seeing all this stuff and how it moves. I'm very interested in learning more, especially if it's something I can build out over a long period of time. To not. I mean, that's the goal, right? Is just have the best systems in place possible and not have to do all this shit, right? Like that's
Exactly.
it. I mean, why you can say you love hosting so much and it's just like, okay, maybe you do, but it's like if you didn't have to do it, then why?
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, it's a grind, and especially like, you know, we've all been there where we have a kid or just things were around family and you're like stuck on your phone because the plumbing is not working or whatever. And like the more you can get out of that and pull yourself out and make it so where you can trust your teammates and be able to just automate all the little tasks and not have to think like, oh, I need to check and see if the cleaners have showed up on the camera. You know, just those little things that eat up that space in your mind. You just, check those off, get them away. And then like, hey, if I'm not getting personally notified, that means things are going on track with my team. And
Just
I don't need to look at my phone.
Paid.
Yeah. And just make sure like, hey, I'm hanging out with my kid. I'm swimming in the pool. This is awesome. I'm actually spending time with him instead of like, looking at my phone the whole time, which hell yeah, I was super guilty of that for, during COVID, just like, I'm playing with you, but my mind's in North Carolina because the AC is not working correctly, all that bullshit. So yeah. Whole goal is just to, automate all the annoying stuff, but also level up the guest experience. Because again, 5 stars the standard, 5 stars the minimum, and then also decrease your tech stack, and then hopefully be around a lot of cool, awesome, smart people solving even bigger and better problems. And one thing I'll point out about all this that I'm like, the first lesson of my actual course is actually about people like building their own daily gratitude journal, where like they get a text in the morning, they get a text at night, they click a link, they enter in their info, it gets stored in Airtable. And the whole purpose of that is just to show this isn't just going to solve your short-term rental problems. If you have a future business, this is a skill set where you'll be able to apply this to that. If you have certain things in your family you need to like keep track of, you can use this to do that also. I've built like essentially Evite type things for parties, all sorts of stuff. Like it can apply to any kind of business. It's not just short-term rental, but I happen to know this business really well. Again, 4.97 overall since 2018 and 2,800 reviews. Like I've seen a lot, I've done a lot in this business. That's why like I'm passionate about solving all these problems, but all these skills you learn, you'll be able to apply for the rest of your life.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, people could say, like Austin said, they could say they love hosting so much and it's so great. But, I haven't met a fucking person who hasn't used Chat GPT or hit that magic wand to get a response at least once to respond to their guests. So I think everybody needs to automate the annoying and go to your website, nocodestr.com. And I think they need to go where they can find you. So I think you need to tell everybody where they could find you. And, I think Austin's already put in his Facebook group request.
All right, man. I'll be accepting it soon. Yeah. So the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/nocodestr, nocodestr.com. And then I'm also on LinkedIn. So hit me up there. And yeah, I mean, I think the easiest thing, because some of this is kind of technical and abstract, I'm a visual person also. And that's why, like, even if you want to pay for the course right now, I have people just go to the free course first so they can actually see it and understand it and then jump in after that. And what I've also started doing is a 30-day money back guarantee. So if you do pay for the course and you're like, this is not my thing, full refund. But I'm so confident that you'll kind of be blown away when you see it all and you get it and you start, just building that first little gratitude journal and seeing that, like, dude, I set that up in 20 minutes and I'm getting a text to myself every, morning and night, and use that as a reminder of like, dude, I did that. I automated that. What else can I do? And then how can I apply my business? And what other problems have I always thought were annoying? And again, that's one thing I want anyone to do that's in this course or in the Facebook group. Come to me with the annoying problems. Think of what's annoying in your business life, and then feel like you can automate that. And I think together we're going to be able to do some amazing stuff, both in the paid group or just in the Facebook group, which is 100% free forever. Like, happy to have you there. Ask questions, give me your curveballs. I'll see what I can do to fix them, to solve them, to hit that ball, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we appreciate you coming. I think everybody should check it out. If you don't check it out, I think you're missing out. That's just my personal opinion. And who's going to get on here and offer you money back guarantee for 30 days too? So there's obviously confidence in your system that you've created. And there's, so I think what you're doing, I think is great. And I think everybody needs to check it out. So I thank you for coming on and explaining it to us. And hopefully it was enlightening for everybody. And they enjoyed that. So,
Hell yeah, guys. I really, really appreciated it. Go ahead, Austin.
Peace.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me. Guns up, go Broncos. And have a badass day.
Hey, guys. If you could just leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, that would be awesome. Right now, we're running a contest, and we're going to pick winners to get some free Co-Host Bros gear. All you got to do is leave us a review. Doesn't matter what the review is. It could be a 1-star. It could be a 5-star. Just shoot a snippet of it to info@cohostbros.com. That's info@cohostbros.com. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you all for listening.
The Co-Host Bros Podcast.